All right, Steve, you ready?
I'm ready, Spence. Punch it, Chewie!
Welcome to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
What's up, y'all?
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow all the way up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 6.
Number 6. We are happy to be back after the holiday revelry has died down and the tinsel has fallen and the eggnog has been drunk.
So, Steve, this is the first podcast of 2017. We had only 5, obviously, in 2016 because we just got off the ground. But congratulations, this is the first one of the year.
Yeah, man, it's been a good year so far. We're 2 days in, so.
And my resolutions are all shot. So.
I never even made any, so I had none to shoot.
All right, Steve, so tell me about your week. What is new? What is going on? How are you and the family doing?
Family week, good, all good. Again, we had family in town from Colorado and Minnesota, so hung out with them. We actually kind of unplugged this week, which was a really kind of a nice thing. My kids are all in elementary school except for my youngest, and we're all on a one-to-one thing. So everybody from kindergarten, they have like an iPad or a Chromebook or whatever. We actually told their teachers to just like have them leave them at school for the holiday break, which was cool. So we got to do a lot of things that, might have been, pulled away from doing otherwise. Pulled a lot of board games, actually. So it was kind of a cool thing. We kind of went old school, and I was going to ask our listeners if they had any thoughts on good board games. They could maybe hit us up on social media and let us know, because we're always looking for the latest and greatest.
But, I just played a board game. If you got a second.
I got about an hour. Yeah.
So real quick, my brother and sister-in-law were in town just for like one day. They were staying with some other family, but they came over and had dinner with us. And we played a board game, and it's called Splendor. And basically, does
it have to do with sugar?
No, not Splendid. Splendor. Yeah. It's this game where basically you lay out a few cards in like 3 different categories, like easy to accomplish, medium to accomplish, or hard to accomplish. And you can take these coins, and these different coins, there's different colors, they basically represent gems. And you have to have so many gems in order to buy a card. And the easier cards are cheaper to buy, and obviously it takes you less to get there. And then medium cards and the harder cards obviously are the hardest to buy. But the idea is that you're trying to purchase points, like victory points, and you got to get to 15 to win. And the easy ones, though, you can buy cards that have a gem on it, and that gem gives you like automatically one, so you don't have to like draw for gems. So it's kind of this balance of trying to get resources and also trying to get victory points. So it's kind of like Settlers of Catan minus needing a board, minus needing to trade with people, minus needing the longest road and all that. It can be played in about like as quick as about 15-20 minutes, or as long as maybe about like 30-35, maybe 40 tops. And it's a 2 to 4 player type of game. So if you need a board game review, buddy, check that out.
It's called Splendor?
Splendor. Splendor.
It's kind of interesting because like I like strategy games to a point, but when it gets to the point of like a risk, that's kind of pushing the envelope. And then when you get to like something like an Axis and Allies, which, have you ever played that game? Holy wow! I actually got sucked into that game twice from friends that are no longer friends, or I wouldn't count them as friends anymore because of this. But literally, like, it took an hour to set up, an hour to go around once around the players, the 4 players, and it was, it's World War II, Axis versus Allies, and it took like 2 days to play. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was like, I did not sign up for this. I felt like a Jelly of the Month club that I didn't want. I'm like, I didn't want all of this apricot preserves. Send them back.
I'm okay with a long game if it's good. I'm okay with the long strategy games if they're good, but if they're bad, that's when it's rougher. I got a board game called Game of Thrones, and I'm a huge Game of Thrones, and I've read the actual books in the series, A Song of Ice and Fire. And I got this game, and the people say it takes anywhere from like 5 to 6 hours to play it. And the first time you play it, though, tack on like an extra 2 hours in trying to figure out all the rules and walking people through all the rules. And I've yet to play it. I really want to, but I mean, I got to find 5 other people that I can sucker into wasting a day of their life and then hope it's good.
So could you take work off? Because I'd like to try my new Christmas present out.
I need you to use a PTO day.
So we played this one game with my wife's family, which I really like a lot. It's called Wits and Wagers. I don't know if you've played it or not, but you basically have this board, and you kind of have like different odds, and it's kind of a trivia game where you ask, the card has like 7 different questions on it, and they're usually a percentage based or a number based or a year or date based, and so it'd be like, one question from last night was like, how many months did it take for Apple to sell 100,000, or maybe it was 100 million, I don't remember, iPods, like original iPods, so everybody makes a guess, and then they turn them over at the same time, and then based on, and it could be, somebody could say like, 200 months, somebody could say 3 months, and you put them all on the board, and then you bet on them. You don't have to bet on your own. It's really kind of a cool game. So you'll learn a lot of like useless facts like that. It was actually 66 months, but a lot of cool facts, a lot of fun, and a little bit of chance, a little bit of gambling, a little bit of anyway. So we played a lot of games. Had a great week with them. Took my kids to go see the Nutcracker before Christmas, which was kind of a cool thing. We actually went to a live theater, and one of the gifts from my wife, it was kind of her main gift, was I got her a season's pass to this place called the Lincolnshire Marriott, which is a theater. It's actually a theater in the round, which is kind of cool if you like theater. It's where the stage is in the center. You sit all around. There's not a bad seat in the house, and the actors and the sets and everything, they come on kind of down the aisles, which is very interactive. You feel kind of very involved and whatnot. And I've seen shows there, since I was a kid, because we've been going to shows a lot. And I don't know. I have a love for like live theater. It's unpredictable. It's unique. It's like the snowflake-like quality of live theater. There's like no 2 performances that are alike, and so my kids really like that, and they have a few kids shows through the year, Madagascar, and there's another one that'll be in the fall of 2017. But I don't know, I really appreciated, even though it was kind of a kids performance in the Nutcracker, I was like, this is awesome, like live theater, yeah, let's bring it back, man.
I think the last time I saw something was we saw Les Mis, and it was in the round, and that was maybe a year or 2 ago. It was really good, really good.
That is probably my favorite show, a live show. Like that one, like just like cuts my soul and just pierces my heart every time I watch it. So anyway, so that was great. We had a little bit of snow here, but it's actually been unseasonably warm here in Chicago. It was actually 40 degrees today, and
I hate
that was my
you.
last. Yeah, my last day work off. I took the kids to the zoo, actually, and we had a great time. We saw polar bears, and because it was a little bit of drizzle, there weren't a lot of people there, and so we got to see everything up close and personal. The I don't know, something in the water, but all the animals were out and playful. So had a great time, had a great week. Yeah, life was good, man. So how about you? How was your week?
So unlike you, it's been very cold here, and this is the second time in 8 days, or 9 days, we'll call it 8 days, that I have had to get out and shovel for a few hours. We got probably another 6 inches of snow last night, and they're saying potentially more snow on Wednesday, so another 2 days from now. I'm really regretting not owning a snowblower. And yeah. I mean, my shovel's great. I mean, the $35 investment I made a week ago or so.
How's your scoliosis?
Yes, that's the problem. I can't walk. Yeah, but no, we had a good week here, minus the shoveling of the snow. We took the boys to go see Moana again. We wanted to do something nice since I took last Friday off, and so I made another 4-day weekend. So we went and saw Moana again, and the kids did pretty well for that. let's see what else. Oh, for New Year's, we decided that we were going to watch some movie musicals. So we ended up watching Singing in the Rain. And we also watched... man, it's going to escape me now that I'm trying to think about it. Oh, Music Man. Yes, Music Man.
Oh my gosh. So, Shapoopy, man. Shapoopy.
Yes. Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, chee, pick a lot, talk a little. Yep. So we watched The Music Man. We watched Singing in the Rain, had a good time. And every time I see like Gene Kelly tap dance, I'm just amazed that used to be a skill that like most men, or a lot of men at least, used to like pick up and learn when they were kids, kind of like how the piano kind of seems to be the common theme that like most kids learn how to do now. Back then, tap dance. So when is that going to come back around and become a thing again? Will it? I don't know.
Let's bring it back, man. Let's bring it back.
Now, there's when you say, wait, no. When you say let's bring it back, do you mean like we will go do tap dance, or like we'll put our kids in tap dance?
Well, of course, we will live vicariously through our children as we do with all things. I want to make them go out to football. They're going to be prom king. I got their whole 18 years planned out for them. Live as I never did. Be what I never was.
So we did that. I'm trying to think of what else kind of went on. We don't really do the big New Year's. I don't know about you guys. We don't stay up late and throw massive parties and go out. It's like, I got young kids, and no matter what time I go to bed, those kids are still up at 6:30 in the morning, regardless. So we didn't stay up late. Did you guys stay up late?
Yeah, we did. Well, we do this thing, which I kind of feel bad about, but we kind of like tell them it's like, this is New Year's, right? But it's really like 11. We actually stay up later. Usually we do it like 10 o'clock. We did 11 o'clock so we could watch the ball drop in New York. But my oldest kid is wise to it. He's like, this isn't the real New Year's. This is an hour early. You're making us go to bed early. And, of course, the disagreements and the conversations and the debates ensue. But yeah, so we did that. We had party favors. My brother-in-law brought like those little poppers. They look like jugs. Yeah. So we did a bunch of those, and so we did a little something. And we played games and stuff at my in-laws' house, which was a lot of fun. I got some really fun in-laws and fun kind of brothers and sisters-in-laws. So.
We just kind of, it was like leftovers. We had like leftovers from Christmas and after Christmas, and opened up a bottle of Martinelli's. That was about as crazy as we were going to get. Because then, of course, the next day is just another day for us in the old Stapleton household. So, but it was nice to have 4 days off, to be home with my kids. And I will say that even though I had to shovel again today, Charlie really wanted to go out and shovel with me. My oldest, he's 4, and so my wife bundled him up in snow pants and snow boots and a coat and mittens, and he came out and I gave him the second shovel. And he just made more work for me, of course. but it was a lot of fun, and he was super excited to be out helping Daddy. And then he realized he could throw snow at me, and the snow would hit my coat or hit my pants, and it would stick to me, and he would get a huge laugh out of that. So he's doing this and throwing snow at me, and I warned him. I said, Charlie, stop throwing snow. Daddy's trying to scoop it all up. And he says, Daddy, I throw snow. It's fun. And I said, okay, I'm going to throw snow at you. And he goes, okay, you throw snow at me. And then I took a whole shovel full of snow and I just knocked him down with it.
And that, folks, is called good parenting.
That's right. And so, of course, as we're doing this, then Jackson, who's inside at the window with his little face pressed up against the glass, realizes that it's actually fun outside. So the next thing I know, a few minutes later, my wife comes out bundled up, and Jackson's bundled up in snow pants and boots and a coat and gloves. And so he wants to push the other shovel around, and then now they're just climbing through the snow, and we ended up taking much longer to shovel today. But we kind of had a little family play date out in the snow in the front of the house and the front yard, and it was a lot of fun. We did have a lot of fun. Now, I will say I feel bad because Charlie has a cold, and he's not feeling well right now.
He also has a concussion from the shovel of wet snow.
Yeah, it was really, really dry snow. It was just powder, so it was pretty good. But anyway, that was my week. We had a good time, and it was good to have another 4-day weekend and be with the family. So,
very cool. Well, glad to be with you. Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you. And I am glad to be back, and I'm glad to be with you tonight recording.
Yeah.
It's time for some Rebel Intelligence. I always have to let you know, Steve, that many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to bring up, man, so I'm not, like it said, I'm not a big New Year's Eve type of person. You said you watched the ball drop, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you see it?
Did I see Mariah Carey meltdown? Yeah, I saw that junk.
Wow. I only saw the video of it because, of course, like it started trending worldwide on Twitter like immediately. Here's my take on the whole thing. No one expects anyone to be really singing live or to be really putting on like a huge show at something like that, right? Because you're outdoors, you're surrounded by, millions of people, and it's obviously it's not a great sound acoustics can't be great in a place like that, right?
Right.
But I don't know if it was Mariah's people or the Dick Clark Productions people, but if she was singing to a track, either the track was off. I heard her say today, or maybe it was yesterday, that her in-ear monitors weren't working, and they kept telling her it was going to work when she got out there. And you can tell, like, I mean, it was kind of a diva moment, obviously, but she just, like, she tried, and she was like, I can't hear anything. They're not playing the track. I can't hear it. What's going on? And then she's like, screw this. Like, I'm out. And she just, like, raised her hand. She's like, I was trying. And then, like, walks off. And I was like, there's an adage, the show must go on. Apparently not if you're Mariah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think most people understand that if you are, Super Bowl, I don't know Super Bowl, but some huge venue where it's going to be impossible for live singing to happen and to sound good if it did happen, like people got that. And I think people understand that Beyonce and Mariah, like, yeah, they can sing. We know they can sing.
Right.
You didn't pay to come here. It's not like a concert where you feel like jaded or whatever. This is like, it's an open venue and whatever. So, anyway, I thought that it was, it's a flash in the pot. It's newsworthy today, and tomorrow it'll be whatever. But kind of funny though. Kind of funny that it happened to Mariah because she is such a diva.
Well, that, and I mean, yeah, I mean, she is that. She definitely does have that diva quality about her. But it's just one of those things that's like, you just really wish that you could do it well, or at least make it look good in that moment, because you know that's going to go viral and everyone's going to see it.
And it is painful to watch. I mean, when you rewatch it, I'm just like, ooh, like you could just imagine, like, that had to kind of stink to be her, But and then on the other side, like with the Dick Clark Productions, you think about the the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction, like that went viral and yada yada. And I'm sure, they had some blowback from it from their viewers and whatever. But did it go viral and everybody wanted to see it? And was it great publicity? Yes. And so, is it within the realm of possibility that Dick Clark Productions wanted to make something happen so it would be newsworthy? Yeah, maybe. Get some it's all about eyeballs.
I tell you what, Mariah still looking good. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
She's still
Nick
attractive.
Cannon, good job, brother.
Yeah, except they're divorced. They're not together anymore.
Too bad, brother. Too bad.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know what happened there, and I don't really care all that much, but I hope everyone's happy, and I hope the kids are okay. So anyway.
There you go.
What else do you have for us,
next?
Steve?
So CNN, I know this is one thing that we talked about previously, but just kind of the issue about the Russian hacking. You probably know more about this than I do, but
so are you talking about the article that just came out that CNN, when they ran video trying to show the Russian hacking, actually was using the computer terminal from Fallout 4, the video game?
Right.
I get that maybe you need to find a way to fill some B-roll, but I mean, people aren't stupid in today's day and age on the internet, right? They're gonna cross-check things. They're gonna look around, and when you're like, "Yeah, this is the Russians right here hacking this thing," and then it's like, "Oh, wait, well, nope,
That's from a video game.
That's from a video game that was created by Bethesda, and yeah.
But the fact that they actually have it like as an instructional video, they have like arrows and things. I mean, it's crazy.
Yep. So
yeah, I thought that was
I thought that
humorous.
I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, once again, it's in the end all be all, not a big thing, but kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of funny to see that the CNN was using video game footage. So
and a good publicity for Fallout, man. You know, so it's all about publicity.
Right,
so.
right. So I don't know, Steve, if you've heard, but apparently Disney has a fan club. It's called D23. My wife's a huge Disney nerd, Disneyland nerd. She loves all that kind of stuff with a passion. But apparently the D23 fan club has released the fact that in the upcoming Thor Ragnarok film, it's actually going to have Doctor Strange in the film. And if you went and saw the Doctor Strange movie, at the very end, there's the post-credits scene, and you see Doctor Strange in a bar talking to Thor. And so my expectation was that he might have a minor part, or potentially could have like a little cameo in this film, but maybe they were hinting towards the next, installment that you're going to see them. But it's looking more and more like Doctor Strange may actually have a bigger role in this upcoming Thor movie that comes out at the end of this year.
That'd be fantastic. I actually hadn't heard that, but I think based on everybody that I've talked to, the reviews that I've read, that people really like Doctor Strange, and so I think that his, any more of him that they can see would be a good thing. So
yeah, and I mean, come on, let's be honest. Benedict Cumberbatch can act in anything, and he's gonna do big business in this role, I believe. So
he is fantastic, Sherlock and all the rest. So,
yep.
So kind of piggybacking on our podcast last week, talking about kind of some of the biggest films of 2016, both based on tweets and based on kind of revenue as well. Rogue One has officially become the second highest grossing film of 2016 at $425 million. Just behind Finding Dory at $486 million. And I wanted to follow up with you, Spence. So you'd mentioned on our last podcast that you had gone and seen it again with some family members that hadn't seen it, and were potentially scheduling a third viewing of the film. Did that happen?
I have not seen it a third time yet. I would like to think that that's going to happen maybe this upcoming weekend, but I decided this weekend I didn't want to abandon my family to go see Rogue One a third time, that maybe I should be a better father and spend time with them. I mean,
Disney is hurting.
I may have made the wrong call. Time will tell.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell. What else you have for us to round out?
You know what though? The interesting thing about that Rogue One tidbit that you had for us is that movie released on the 16th of December. So it had literally, 2.5 weeks, maybe almost 3 weeks somewhere, to get to the number 2 spot for 2016. Imagine if that would have came out in the summer like Finding Dory did. Is there any thought that wouldn't have been the number 1 for 2016?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Easy. So
I agree. I have one more thing, Steve. I don't know if you've seen this, but a little while ago, Ben Affleck said that he wanted to direct a Batman movie that's just going to be called The Batman, and he has the story idea, and he was kind of writing it, and it was kind of coming off the heels of Batman versus Superman. Well,
heaven help us.
I kind of heard a little bit about what he was thinking about doing, and it didn't sound too bad. So, hey, I'm always game for a Batman movie. But now there's rumblings from Ben Affleck saying he's not positive he'll direct the Batman movie because it all depends on what exactly is going to happen with the story and the direction that the studio is going to kind of go with it. And so it's kind of this up in the air thing. And at this point, I mean, Ben Affleck has directed a lot of really good movies. I think he's got some serious chops under his belt. I mean, you're not going back to Christopher Nolan. Just let Ben Affleck run with it. That's what I'm saying. Give him the reins. Let him do his thing.
So is he? Who is slated to play Batman then? I mean, is
Well,
he going to
it's
star and direct?
Yep. Because he was Batman in Batman versus Superman. He's going to be Batman in the Justice League movie, and then of course he was Batman for the small amount of time he was on screen in Suicide Squad. So, if this solo Batman movie happens, that would be his fourth time he's donned the cape and cowl in just a few years. So, I mean,
what do you think of him though? I mean, as the Bat, because you know how I feel about Ben Affleck, but what do you think about him as Batman? Where does he rank?
Wow, it's tough because I always rank Batman. I have to rank Batman and I have to rank Bruce Wayne. So, for instance, Christian Bale loved his Batman. I thought his Batman was great, minus the growly, "Tell me where the drugs are," like really weird vocal affectation that I have said for years that I can't really stand. But his Bruce Wayne, just, no thanks. Doesn't really do it for me. Now, Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, I thought was excellent. Excellent. His Batman was really good, but he lacked from some of the costume ability. He has to turn his whole shoulders to turn and look at something because he doesn't have the ability to turn his neck. And that's because of the suit he was given. Obviously, stuff changed later down the road.
Made of paper mache, but yeah, whatever.
Right. So, Christian Bale's Batman is probably the tops for me, but not his Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne's probably the best. His Batman's are really, really good. Val Kilmer and George Clooney, nope. Not even in the same ballpark on any of the two facets of Batman / Bruce Wayne. But you want to know about Ben Affleck. I really thought Ben Affleck did a decent job. I mean, it wasn't Val Kilmer or George Clooney. And I would say that, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to say like his Batman was better than Christian Bale's, but if it's behind it, it's not behind it by much. And his Bruce Wayne definitely is better than Christian Bale's, in my opinion. And I would say probably really, really close to Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. He actually did a real good job. I mean, I know you're not a huge Ben Affleck fan, and we've talked about that for years, but it's pretty decent. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good.
Very interesting. Well, we'll have to see how the Caped Crusader flies again and how fans react. So that will be interesting.
Right.
Interesting to see.
Okay, Steve, last week as we were closing down the podcast, our question of the week was, what was the most embarrassing movie recommendation that you have ever given someone? And obviously,
oh yes,
obviously you love to tell people about Mortal Kombat and how I recommended that to you. But I don't know if you ever told us what was your most embarrassing recommendation you've ever given anyone.
You know, my most embarrassing recommendation that I've ever given someone was Cabin Boy with Chris Elliott.
Ooh, no. Who was that? Yeah. Who did you tell to watch that?
You know, I think it was I don't even remember who it was. Somebody, maybe it was Ryan Steinauer. Maybe it was
back in high school for sure.
It was definitely back in high school. It was the Fish Tick Kitties. That was the only redeeming line of that entire movie. And I think it was literally filmed in like an above ground pool, but that's basically it. Like maybe a sound stage somewhere in Hollywood, but you know, maybe not. I don't know. I felt bad. I feel bad still. So Ryan, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Cabin Boy. Yikes. I will agree that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So
rough seas.
So of course I put our question out there on Facebook and Twitter, and I got a pretty good amount of responses with some good movie recommendations in the worst category. So I'm going to read them here.
All right.
I'm going to start over an email. This is our friend of the podcast once again, Peter Christensen.
There you go.
He says, "Dear nerds, caveats and qualifiers apply. My worst experience recommending a movie was in high school when I hard sold my friends on watching Undercover Blues. I stand by the recommendation. Stanley Tucci as a vengeful mugger who keeps getting foiled in increasingly hilarious ways by the secret agent couple of Dennis Quaid and Kathleen Turner. Dave Chappelle as Tucci's mugger sidekick. A cornucopia of New Orleans / Louisiana / Bayou stereotypes. Petunia Dursley as a Czech war criminal mastermind. It's a great movie I've enjoyed for decades. He says, my friends didn't get the memo, unfortunately. While we were watching the movie, I kept waiting for the moment when they would erupt in laughter and appreciate this movie. Alas, they never did. The evening was a bust, and my friends and I were both thinking there's no accounting for taste. Anyway,
wow.
And he says, keep up the good show. So
I like that. I like that movie, Undercover Blues. I thought Dennis Quaid, Kathleen Turner, great flick. Good recommendation. I would give thumbs up.
I can honestly say I've never seen that one, but from his description of it, I could see how his friends may not have gotten on board. But there's worse, and we're gonna get to some of them here.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine that I know, Javier Montalago on Facebook, says I recommended watching Jingle All the Way to my.
Good.
He says, Heine, I don't know, maybe that's an autocorrect. And we were both thinking, what were we thinking? He says, I can't believe I like this. I just like the put the cookie down now scene.
See, it always seems to come down to like there was one line that you thought was funny, and so that kind of just gels into the rest of the movie that you thought was, well, if that line was funny, it probably was a pretty funny movie, as I recall.
Right. Moving on Facebook, Daniel Marchese, an old friend of ours, said, I told someone to watch Barbarella as a joke. They called me 30 minutes in and said, WTF.
Barbarella.
Little Jane Fonda action.
Wow.
Danny Rigioni says...
Oh, Danny Rigoni, friend of mine.
Okay, so Danny Rigoni. I apologize for butchering the last name. He says, that's Rocky Balboa. I'm a big fan of the Rocky franchise and recommend it to a friend before seeing it. Have you seen Rocky Balboa?
No, I don't think I have. Is that the last and final?
No,
no, that's because Rocky is the last and final, wasn't it?
No, they ended up coming up. Oh, what was that? I don't remember the last one was called. Rocky Balboa, though, was the one where he's basically retired and he's running a restaurant, and the current champ, I don't know, gets beaten by Rocky in a video game matchup on like ESPN, and so the current champ is like harassing him to get him back in the thing, and he's got to go back and like get a license to box again. Rocky does. It's almost kind of like the George Foreman story. That's what I heard.
Really?
And anyway, that movie wasn't that bad. It wasn't great. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't. Great.
Was this the one with all like the montages and like the flashbacks?
Like where they show Adrian and she's dead, and like he's got the chair and he sits at the graveside. Yep, that's the one.
I thought you said you liked that movie.
I did like that movie, but
it's
not the best. It's no Rocky or Rocky 2.
Yeah. Rocky 3, come on, I love that.
Rocky 3, yeah, Clubber Lang, Thunder Lips, yeah.
Thunder Lips, man.
Yeah. Moving on Facebook, Jonathan Rubo says Mario Brothers, Double Dragon, Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
Yes.
So I gotta say,
any video game translates into movie. The translation, it is lost in translation.
They've made some better ones recently, maybe. No, okay.
Oh my gosh, yeah. John Rubo is in my congregation at church. Great guy, and appreciate him watching and commenting. That's awesome. Oh, Super Mario Brothers.
No, that was so bad. Okay, so my brother Josh Stapleton says, my brother once told me that the movie Bringing Down the House was really good. ... Wait
a minute. Bringing Down the House, that's not Kid and Play, is it?
No. That's
okay.
No. This is I think this is the Tommy Lee Jones movie where he's like a Texas Ranger and he's got to like babysit, I don't know, like cheerleaders or something. I think maybe.
Oh yeah. No, I do remember that. Yep.
I think I can't remember, but I think that I've intentionally given my brother some bad advice on movies in the past.
No, not just on movies, my friend.
Well,
not just on movies.
Sure, on a lot of things because I'm the older brother.
Remember you told him to poop in that huge brown paper bag and light it on that person's steps?
Yep. And I remember how that went.
Shouldn't have had Mexican the night before, Josh. That's all I got to say.
Probably not the wisest of ideas.
That was a great night.
All right. Our last one on Facebook, John Wayne Flynn, who's a brother of mine in my motorcycle club, says Troll 2. He says, I was an extra in this one, and if you look it up on the internet, you will see that it was voted the best worst movie ever. Fun to be a part of, though. Wow.
How much did he get paid for that junk? I'd love to know.
I would probably say not a lot. Going over to Twitter, at dspin67 says, I'll give you 3. The Night Stalker, Trilogy of Terror, and Blackula. I was a kid in the 70s, so these were standard horror movies. I let my girl watch them, and they don't hold up. They're a window into my childhood.
A dark and opaque window into a sad, sad childhood.
Yes. At Arctic Warlocks, at Arctic_Warlocks, says, I would have said, to have to say either Duplex or Envy. To make it worse, it was a, hey, go rent it versus in the theaters, everyone's along for the ride. So you know what he's saying there? Like, it's bad when you're like all in a car and you're like, hey, we're going to see this movie, come see this movie with us. And he kind of, you have a buddy or something that joins in. But when you're like, hey, go out of your way on your own to go down to the video store, spend money and rent it and bring it back home. Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't Netflix, like click it and forget it or whatever. This was like you get some pants on, go down to the Blockbuster with a family video.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
Envy, huh?
And then our last one on the list was from at PSVG, Play Some Video Games podcast. And they said Grown Ups 2 was just awful. So
I'm a sucker for Adam Sandler. What can I say?
I know.
Kevin James.
I like Adam Sandler movies, and that's
here's what I think. I just think, like, if I had a friend like Adam Sandler who just said, "Hey, let's get together and make a movie." I mean, that's what I think Adam does. He like just calls people and is like, "Hey, what are you doing on Saturday? You want to make a movie? Okay, let's do it." When you own the production company and you star in the role, I mean, you can do what you want.
Right? I mean, come on. Would you tell him no?
Spence, what are you doing this weekend? Want to make a movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's basically how this podcast started. Spence called me and was like, hey, you want to make a podcast? I said, sure. And there we go.
And here we will be for a long time.
That's right.
So thank you for your answers. We appreciate hearing what your most embarrassing recommendations have been, or movies that have been recommended to you. I think we've all had a few of those in our lives. And knowing me, at some point I'm going to recommend something that I thought was okay late at night on Netflix to Steve, and he's going to call me back up and say, WTF, why did you give me Bowfinger to watch or something? I don't
know. Bowfinger. Go Eddie Murphy. Love you, man. So that was, like Spence said, appreciate all the shout outs and the listeners. I mean, just thanks for listening, man. We appreciate it. We love it. And we hope you like what your ears are hearing.
Yes, absolutely. We can't state enough how much we're glad that you have decided to spend some time each week listening to us, and that you're willing to respond back to us, and that you're willing to admit that you recommended some bad movies, because hey, we've all done it. So
now, on the other side of that coin, not to put the cart before the horse, and we'll get to this later, but do yourself a favor and recommend our podcast to your friends, because you will not be sorry, and you will not list this at some other podcast as the worst podcast you ever recommended. So go out and tell your friends.
To quote Stan Lee, Excelsior! I don't know why that felt like the perfect cap onto that, but it did.
I was going to say hide your kids and hide your wife, but yeah, Stan Lee, whatever, it's fine.
Hide your kids and hide your wife, and hide your husband too. Yes. That's right. Wow. I love those. Some of those auto-tuned the news back in the day.
That one, and then the one where he's like, I got asthma, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. Those, I could watch those over and over and still roll, man.
I had ribs with this dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So good. Okay, so Steve, maybe I didn't ask you this. Did you make any actual personal New Year's resolutions?
I mean, I've got the usual. I mean, I was with my nephew who's put on like 40 pounds of like pure muscle. I mean, literally, this kid was like scrawny, skinny. Joseph, I'm talking about you, man. He is like a beast. And so, of course, I see him. I'm like, I got to get back to the gym. So that's, of course, standard. I got to do it. Tony Horton and I used to be good friends, and now I know him not. So I need to get back to working out. But no, not really. I mean, the new year ticks, and it's not, if I'm going to make a resolution, it doesn't have to be on the new year. So I've just, I kind of, in the spirit of self betterment, I think I'm always trying each day and each week to be a better person, better father, better Christian, better husband, better friend, better co-host. So
I don't typically make a lot of New Year's resolutions. I feel like a lot of people that they tend to kind of fall the wayside way too quick. But I do want to say that I'm going to try to be a healthier individual this year. I want to lose some weight. I want to eat healthier. I want to be able just to do more with my kids, right?
Yeah.
So as I was kind of thinking about this, and I've got my plan of kind of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to kind of start slow and work into it, and not try to jump all in at once, because that's a recipe for failure. I was thinking about what are going to be my nerd and pop culture resolutions for this year, things that I want to see or consume, that I want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, Steve, we should go down and maybe go through like our top 5 things that we want to do.
Definitely.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, no, that's something I can get behind, man. That's something
Nice.
I can get
behind. Okay. So let's see. Let's flip a coin.
I'm going to make a few notes here.
Let's flip a coin, and let's see here. Steve, why don't you start me off with one of your most anticipated things in 2017?
Okay, so if I had to say what my top kind of nerd or pop culture entree would be, I jumped on the bandwagon in 2016 with the Stranger Things series. So if you haven't gone out and seen it, holy goodness, get out there and watch it. It's on Netflix. This is production by the Duffer Brothers. It's on to season 2, so season 2 is going to hit sometime. I don't know when, and it's not really been released yet, but sometime in 2017. But basically, it's a story of a group of kids. It's almost kind of like akin to like a Goonies or like a Lost Boy. I mean, just kind of that kind of genre, and it's kind of an homage to like Stephen King, Steven Spielberg, Carpenters. It has an ET feel. Even the opening credits. So podcast listeners, when you go out when you watch the season 1, just take a look and just appreciate like even the opening credits. It has this awesome like early like 80s feel to it. It even has like kind of the specks on the black that it's like almost like a reel to reel. Anyway, so it follows this group of kids, and there's some strange things that happen in their town. There's a kind of a Department of Energy installment that is in their town that's kind of doing these experiments, and Winona Ryder is in it. Kind of some no-name kids, but they are phenomenal actors and actresses. And then Matthew Modine is in it as well. And for season 2, Sean Austin is going to join the cast, of course, from Goonies and Lord of the Rings, as well as Paul Reiser from Mad About You. So they're going to join the cast, and it's going to be set a year after season 1 ended. But again, phenomenal series. I loved it. I freaking consumed it within like 2 nights. I just like did all-nighters and gorged myself on this show. So it's fantastic show, well done, and need to get on it.
So I have to admit, I have not seen Stranger Things yet, and the reason being is that my wife and I, my wife Brita is into a lot of the similar things that I'm into when it comes to TV and movies, and so it's kind of on our list of things we want to watch together. And it's currently now at the number 1 slot, the on deck circle, if you will, on our Netflix queue. As soon as we finish the last season and a half of Parks and Rec, we are going to move on to Stranger Things. So I will watch Stranger Things season 1 and season 2 in 2017.
Well, don't procrastinate the day of your repentance, as the Bible says.
Well, I like I said, I really want to get to it. I really, really do, but I kind of had to wait till everything aligned so Brita and I could watch it together.
Yeah, as a caveat, though, it is kind of a thrill. There are some kind of scary parts, so if your wife is not of that variety, then don't tell me that I didn't tell you so. So there you go.
So you're telling me that there's opportunities for me to scare my wife while watching this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My wife
Yes.
even heard it from the basement, and she's like, "That doesn't sound good." It's fine, baby. It's fine.
So I'm gonna
What's on your list? Yeah, sorry.
yeah
Sorry. Throw it back to you. What's on your list? Number one.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna rank these as far as like the most like 1 through 5, but just
Okay.
like 5 big things that I'm super anticipating. The first one I'm gonna say, because I think it's coming out in March, is gonna be the Nintendo Switch, and this
Yeah.
is the new console from Nintendo that's supposed to be a handheld, but yet you can dock it and play it like a normal console in your home. And it's going to launch, and at the time of launch, it's going to have the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, which will be brand new. I've seen trailers of this thing. It looks amazing. I've got money set aside. I've got like $175 in Best Buy gift certificates, gift cards. And so I've got that set aside, and so then I've got some other money that was given to me for Christmas, and so I'm really on board with this. I mean, I grew up on Nintendo. I've had every Nintendo console except for the Wii U, which was the last one, which didn't look good, and then pretty much it got abandoned and didn't do very well. But this thing looks pretty cool, and if it's as good as it's looking right now, I'm totally on board. I'm all in. It's going to give me a chance to introduce my boys down the road here in a little bit to Mario and Mario Kart and
Mm-hmm.
Zelda. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a big year for Nintendo if it goes well. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things where Nintendo's done so many great things, but they've had a few missteps recently.
Yeah.
So
We talked about those in a few past podcasts. Yeah, they've had a few missteps, and it's always interesting to see when it comes out, what other systems are coming out in and around, their launch, and it, if it's a full moon, I mean, everything affects it. Changing of the tides.
yeah, Josh, my brother and I, we talk about Breath of the Wild quite frequently. I mean, this game looks amazing, and I'm just excited. I want to see that. So that's
So,
that's one of my 5. Give me another one of yours.
so as a father, I'm a frequent previewer of all things that are Disney or animated of any kind and whatnot. And so my kids really really loved the Lego Movie when it came out, and I mean
Yeah,
they
that thing
still
was
sing like
great.
the yeah, they still think everything is awesome. It was actually the theme of our family reunion that year, which went the year that came out a few years ago. So I don't know if you guys have seen the new Lego Batman movie, but it looks
Oh
hilarious. I mean,
yeah,
Will Arnett, I loved him. I loved him in oh my gosh, give it to me,
Arrested
Jason Bateman.
Development.
Arrested Development. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So as Job, I mean, freaking phenomenal in that, and so everything is in. I love his humor, and so he as Batman, some hilarious lines. Michael Cera is in it as well as Robin. It looks hilarious. So go out and watch the trailer. Comment on our Facebook page. It looks funny. One of the funny lines from the trailer, where Batman has basically taken this boy in like at a charity event. He thought he was like a joke. So he finds the Batcave, and Robin is like, does Batman live in Bruce Wayne's basement? And he's like, no, Bruce Wayne lives in Batman's attic. So, and just looks great. Looks like a lot of fun. And one of those shows where your kids will appreciate it. They'll love it because it's Lego and all things Lego, but the humor is so up my alley. So I'm
Yeah,
totally looking forward to that.
I was on board with the Lego movie from the get-go. That movie was great, and I thought Batman was one of the best characters in that whole movie. And so the
Yep.
fact that he's getting a spin-off movie, I mean, I'm so on board with this. I'm excited for this movie. I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
take my kids to it because they're still a little too young. They're not going to catch a lot of it,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go. I know
Yeah.
that.
There's another scene where Batman is he's like fighting the Joker, and Joker said, I'm your number one nemesis. He's like, my number one nemesis is Superman. And Joker like has a tear rolling down his cheek. And he's like, I've got to date around.
Does he say like I have to fight around?
Yeah, I have to fight around. That's right. I got to fight around. So just some great lines. Great
Yeah.
lines.
I don't know who's doing the writing for those, but man, they got it going on. I must admit.
And it's almost like our generation's version of like Gumby. It's like of claymation. You think about like the time it would take to Oh my gosh, I appreciate that above and beyond the writing and the acting and whatnot. So
Right. Yeah.
anyway, so throwing it back to you, what do you got?
Okay, so another thing I would say on my top five, uh, I'm really excited for Sherlock to come back. I mean, there's a lot of TV that
Mm-hmm.
I really get into. Like, in the TV category, I'd say honorable mentions is Survivor. I watch Survivor every year when it comes out. Game of Thrones is huge, and I'm excited for the next season. But
Of course.
I'm a little hesitant about that only because now they're going past where the books are, and I'm a book reader first and foremost when it comes to this series and this TV show, and so I'm a little nervous about that. So that's not going to break into my top five. And then the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Discovery. Man, I'm really excited about that, but they're putting that behind their CBS All Access paywall. So it's not even
Yeah.
going to be on CBS. It's going to be you've got to pay $8 or $10 a month to see this, and that really kind of turns me off. But I really do want to see this because that's like almost a decade since the last Star Trek series, and it's supposed to take place like 10 years before Captain Kirk and Spock and Bones and Sulu and Uhura and Scotty and all Chekhov and all the rest on the original voyage. But in all TV, Sherlock. I'm excited for Sherlock to be back. It's been off the air for a while, and who doesn't want to see Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes again? Who doesn't want to see, all the hijinks and the clever writing and the excellent delivery by all the actors? I mean, that show just top to bottom, I think for me is one of the best shows on TV. It's done so well, and
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Sherlock, and that's coming back here fairly soon.
And that is a BBC production, is that correct?
Correct. It's a BBC
Yeah.
production, and then over here you can see it on PBS, and I think you can probably also catch it on BBC America. I mean, it's kind of the same thing like Doctor Who. Like Doctor Who's coming back in April, and I love Doctor Who, and it's a BBC production, and it's on BBC America over here. That would be in my
Yeah.
honorable mentions in the TV category, but I'm gonna say Sherlock in 2017. I'm ready to see a little more Professor Holmes, and let's get Sherlock going.
Yeah. So on the flip side, on my probably in my queue as you have Stranger Things up to bat, I would say Sherlock is probably up there. I've got to get on that. You've told me a lot about it. And I've looked at a lot of the trailers and seen a few kind of scenes on YouTube and whatnot, and it looks phenomenal. And
Yeah, get
the
on
acting
that.
is phenomenal. Yeah.
Get on
Yeah.
it.
Well, on that same vein, one of mine, BBC as well, is for 2017. I'm so looking forward to it. I mean, I was so into the series as well. It's called The Midwife.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, Brita loves that show. Really?
Oh my gosh, no. I have watched a few episodes, and it's a fine show, and those that like it's actually really well written, well acted. But no, I was just kidding. I went through 4 of the laborious labors side by side with my wife. I need to watch it on TV. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, my one of the things that I'm totally looking forward to. So, a quick story about me. So I was in a car accident about 4 years ago now, and my wife and I was by myself. I had actually, oddly enough, just come off of a work event where we were at one of those K1 racing, where you those like really really fast go-karts.
Yeah.
It was a work team building thing, and I had won fastest lap, and I still had the medal around my neck when I got in this accident. I was hit head on in an intersection. Anyway, long story short, it wasn't my fault, and I did take the medal off when the officer was questioning me about the accident. I was like, I'll just slip this into my glove compartment.
So, Mario Andretti, tell us
I'm
about
like,
this accident.
of course it wasn't my fault. Look at the medal, man. Anyway, but we thought we'd do this social experiment where, we've got 4 kids, so a family of 6, and we thought we'd just go to one car. We just, I work about 2.5 miles from my office, and so in the summers I ride my bike, and it's good exercise, and we just make do during the winter. She drops me off, picks me up, yada yada, and I've had some nice coworkers that have helped out as they need. But I've kind of been waiting for the right car, the right time. And so the Tesla Model 3 is hitting It's actually it's not hitting until 2018, but it is hitting production in 2017. And what's really cool about this is that, obviously everybody knows Teslas. There's a lot of Teslas where I live. There's actually just a dealership just up the road, but this is kind of like the every man's Tesla. It's a Model 3. It's going to be 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. It can go 215 miles on a charge. It has autopilot, has all the bells and whistles that every Tesla does, but it is going to be $35,000. And while the Illinois rebate is gone because Illinois can't handle $1, the federal rebate is still in effect. So you would probably save, I think, around $7,500 off the sticker. So you're looking at a electric car in like the high 20s.
That's pretty good.
You never have to buy gas for again.
Right.
I freaking like geeked out when I saw the reveal on that and the sticker price at $35,000. So my coworker just put his deposit. He put his deposit in a few months ago, and so I'm like, I'm toying with the fact of jumping in.
Remind me, what was the deposit? It was like $5,000.
Yeah, it was like $5,000, so it was not bad. And like I said, delivery will happen probably mid 2018. So, he has a few that he put down, and I might buy one off of him. So
I tell you what, that Tesla 3 looks really cool too. It's not just like a boxy car. It looks really attractive.
Yeah, it's not like some like Prius piece of unless any of our viewing audience has a Prius, it's fine. But no, I mean it looks a lot like the Model S. It just looks a little shorter. I mean it's a sexy looking car and 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. I mean, come on, man.
I drive a Dodge Ram right now. I've got a truck and I like the space and I like the ability to cart stuff around in that. And my wife's in a little Ford Focus, and if she didn't want a more family type of vehicle, I totally would get her a Tesla Model 3. I mean, I love the idea that, it's going to go so far on so little, and and Tesla is making some really good stuff right now, and I totally would do that. But man, she wants a minivan. I'm trying to convince her like a kind of like a smaller SUV, like a Honda Pilot or something like that.
Or a Nissan Rogue Star Wars Edition with the collector's helmet. Yes, I know your game.
Hey,
you're just laying the groundwork, Stapleton.
Yeah, I'm saying that's not out of the ballpark.
Oh my gosh.
It's so true.
Oh my gosh.
But no, she does, and of course we're working really hard to like not take on any more debt and pay off what we have and whatnot. Right. So she doesn't have a car payment. I don't have a truck payment. The motorcycle that I have is almost completely paid off and probably will be paid off here in the next month or so. So we don't have a car payment, and that's nice. But
yeah,
is she
hard to justify jumping back into that and unlike
right? But I mean,
monthly payment.
If Tesla ever comes out with like a minivan that does this, I'm on board.
Well, they do have I forget what version it is, but they do have like the SUV where it has like the gull wing doors. And I know Elon Musk was talking about how hard it was to get those things to actually work right, because they have to be gull wing, but they have to be able to do it in a 9-foot parking spot space, a standard parking spot space, without like scratching the cars next to them.
Right.
So.
Yep, smarter men than me will figure that kind of stuff out.
Exactly. And richer men than me will probably buy them.
Yes. Anyway, my next thing I wanted to talk about, I'm really big. I guess this kind of goes back to one of my personal resolutions a few years ago. I decided that I wasn't reading enough, and I wanted to read more, and so I set a goal a few years ago for 12 books in a year. And I think that first year I got like 14 or 15 books, and I was reading them on my Kindle. And then the next year I said, I'll just continue with that on. The next year I knocked out like 16 or 17 books. And I've been doing about that every year. But now I've kind of switched to using Audible and listening to books on audio, because I can listen on the drive into work, back from work, lunch breaks. Sometimes if I'm doing a task or a chore at work where I'm going to be doing the same thing that I've done a couple hundred times, and it's going to take me a few hours, and if I don't have any interruptions, I'll toss the earbuds in and listen. So I've been listening to a lot of books, and so one of the things that's coming out this year is the third installment of the Stormlight Archive series. And it is one of my favorite series. And Steve, I'm going to give you a brief rundown. This is off of Goodreads, kind of like a little description of what the series is. And it says,
Sure.
Brandon Sanderson's epic fantasy cycle tells the story of Roshar, a world of stone and storms. Uncanny tempests of incredible power sweep across the rocky terrain. It's been centuries since the fall of the 10 consecrated orders known as the Knights Radiant, but their shard blades and shard plate remain. Mystical swords and suits of armor that transform ordinary men into near-invincible warriors. As brutal wars rage over the control of these magical weapons, an ancient text called the Way of Kings tells of ancient times, the Knights Radiant, and perhaps the true cause of war. The Knights Radiant must stand again. That's taken directly off of Goodreads, kind of like a little synopsis. And I'll just tell you, it's one of my favorite book series. I mean, I could talk about it a lot, and I'm not going to because I could easily spend a few hours kind of talking about characters and plot and whatnot. But Brandon Sanderson's written a lot of books, and he's doing them in a quick order. One of the things I really enjoy is that his writing is well done. His storytelling and pacing is really good. Like, he keeps you invested throughout the whole book, and he pumps out book after book after book. I mean, he's written stuff in the Mistborn trilogy series. Then he wrote kind of a secondary Mistborn trilogy that takes place later in that universe, years later. He's written the he's writing the Stormlight Archives, which is 2 books are out right now. The 3rd comes out this upcoming year, which I'm really excited to get my hands on. Big cliffhangers at the end of book 2, and so I'm excited. But this is supposed to be a 10-book series overall. It's going to be 5 books, then he's going to take a break, and then do another 5 in this kind of big series. And he wrote the last 3 books of the Wheel of Time series to finish off Robert Jordan's series, who passed away. He's an excellent, excellent, excellent author. I can't say enough good about him. But he's a machine when it comes to writing. I mean, he'll write one book in one of his series and then switch over and write another one in a different series. And he keeps a website, and he keeps his readers updated on when things are coming out. And he has done the first draft of book 3 in 2016 and the first major edit on it. So he should be able to finish up all of his editing probably by early mid-2017, and they're looking for a November release date. If you're listening to this and you're readers and you like George R.R. Martin or Patrick Rothfuss, the Kingkiller Chronicles, or if you have read Brandon Sanderson but you haven't got into Stormlight Archive series yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is excellent, and I got my wife. I've listened to the first 2 twice now, and I got Brita to listen to them this year, and she loved them, and she's anticipating the 3rd book this upcoming year. So
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, good stuff.
And what is your goal for 2017 for books?
My goal is always going to be the same. It's going to be to average 1 a month, so 12 books total. That's kind of where I go. That's my goal. I just started a book today. It's actually another book by Brandon Sanderson. It's called Steelheart. It's the first book in his Reckoners series. And that's got, I think, 3 or maybe 4 books. I think it's 3. Maybe 4. I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll get there when I get there. But I'll probably polish all that series off and then go on to other stuff. And so I'm shooting for 12. Like I said, audiobooks, Audible, for me really, really works. So
yeah, man, that's awesome. One of the gadgets that I'm kind of looking at is so I don't replace my phones, I think, as often as most people do, and but I'm definitely an Android guy. I've had Macs and I've had iPhones and whatnot, and I'm just an Android guy. So with the whole Note debacle and the Note 7 and trying to recover from that. Samsung is going to launch their their newest Galaxy phone. So I've had Galaxies for as long as I can remember. I had the Galaxy 4, the 4S, the 5, and kind of through the years. And so the new Galaxy S8 is going to hit spring of 2017. We don't know a lot about the device, but it's going to have a new kind of digital assistant, kind of AI from the company that Samsung bought earlier this year, and it's the same people that built Siri. And I think that that's kind of one of the areas where Google, or not Google, but Android has kind of been and Samsung have been kind of lacking previously. Is their AI is just not really up to par. It's not up to snuff, compared to Siri, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. The other thing that they are in the works of is creating a foldable phone, right? So this isn't the flip phone. This isn't the StarTech like we made back in high school. This is like a bendable display and I think I just read something where they just recently filed a patent for such a device, which would be so cool because as my jeans get tighter and fashion trends go that way, these huge gargantuan phones just don't fit in the pocket anymore, and I start to lose feeling in my hip bone as I try to sit down with these things. So
LG actually has a phone that's bendable, and my boss actually purchased one and tried it out for a little bit, and
really?
He just didn't care for it a ton. But it was kind of almost like a really shallow C. Like it had just a little bit of a bend to it. Like if you put it flat on a desk, like the ends kind of pulled up a little bit off the desk, and then you could push your hand down on it and flatten it. And I wasn't super impressed, but Samsung makes good stuff. I mean, I got the S7 Galaxy Edge by Samsung. So if they're doing something in that space of kind of curved phones or bendable phones, I'm sure it's going to be good.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm still rolling a few years back, so I've got to bring it up to speed.
Nice.
What do you got for me?
Well, I've got 2 movies, so I'll hit you with one first, and then I'll get to my final one, which I'm going to say the final one's probably going to be my most anticipated. But
okay.
This one, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I loved the first one. The second one's coming out in May. I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. If I want to, do a date night and take my wife because I know she's in love with that first movie, or if I want to try to, get together with my brother and go see it and kind of have a brother's night out or something. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I'm just so stoked for that thing. It looks so good. The first one was excellent. It was really, really. It's kind of like we were saying with the Lego Movie, like really well written, really funny. The action in that movie in Guardians of the Galaxy was just great, and it's another one of these Marvel Universe movies, and they're just doing everything right in my book. I do feel that I'm biased as I'm wearing an Incredible Hulk t-shirt right now.
Very nice.
I am a Marvel kind of guy. I do like a lot of DC characters as well, but their movies and the cinematic universe that they've put together, they're just not doing a lot wrong right now. So I'm really pumped for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Plus, the soundtrack in the first one was excellent. I'm excited to see what they're going to do this go round with the soundtrack.
Nice. My next one is kind of going along with the Lego Movie. Again, I'm kind of just in that season of life, and the Despicable Me series is one that I've really enjoyed watching. I love Steve Carell. I'm a huge Steve Carell fan. Everything from The Office to Dan in Real Life, which is a great film. If you want to check out kind of a not very well known Steve Carell movie, but anyway, Despicable Me 3 comes out in 2017, and one that my kids love the series, and I think just funny, does a good job. I forget the name of the character that plays his arch nemesis in this movie, but he's basically kind of like this guy caught in the 80s, this villain caught in the 80s. He's got this awesome mullet, but he's got a bald spot in the back. I thought it was just a funny, like I saw that on the trailer. I was like, that's just awesome little subtle little nod there. And so it's coming out. Not maybe a top of my list, but it's one that I want to see, and I think one that my kids will really get a kick out of. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of looked at that as well. It's kind of like Cars 3 is coming out this year, and
yeah.
and it's like I'm gonna want to see that movie because I've seen the first two over and over and over again with my boys.
Yep.
So it's not like a personal like top 5 for me, but I know that I'm gonna see that. So like I know that'll be a big one. That we'll see in our family. But once again, not one of my top 5.
Exactly.
But, maybe it's like the top 1 as far as the good dad category.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah, I mean...
It's making up for the snow shoveling. That's right.
Yeah. Luckily, he's too young to remember that. But I'm sure you'll let him know for the rest of his life.
I definitely will.
Okay, so this is my last one in my top 5 most anticipated things for 2017. If you know me, you know how much this has influenced my life, this series. So obviously I'm going to say Star Wars Episode 8. I'm super excited for. That's going to be my number 1.
Galactic mic drop.
Yep. I'm really excited to see where the story is going to go. What's going to happen between Luke and Rey and all of that. I also know that Carrie Fisher, who is no longer with us, sadly, had filmed all of her stuff for Episode 8. So we know she'll be in Episode 8. So I'm just really excited to see this. There's part of me that's still like a little boy every single time I see a lightsaber on screen. And I want to see lightsabers, and I want to see the Force, and I want to see Luke. Luke was always that character. I mean, I know some guys, some kids my age, they were Han Solo kids, right? They wanted to be the cool kind of rogue guy with the shoot first and ask questions later. I was give me the lightsaber, let me join this holy order of space wizards, and let me go forth and do great things. That was me. So I wanted to be Luke Skywalker as a kid, and that obviously didn't happen. I'm not Luke Skywalker, but I can see him on screen at the end of this year. That is my most anticipated thing in 2017.
And I will corroborate Spencer's story. His license plate when we were in high school was Jedi 79.
Yep.
There you go.
And my dad even found, I had this little, I still have it, by the way, this little R2-D2 kind of like, I don't know, like kind of hard plastic toy that is just a solid one piece. But my dad took this piece of wood and some screws, and he drilled the feet of R2, and so he installed R2-D2 in the back window of my 1991 Geo Prism, and so I was rocking R2 as my co-pilot in that vehicle. Which, by the way, now it's faded because of all the sunlight, but my kids still play with that thing, and Jackson, my youngest, calls it he says BBD2. He combines BB-8 and R2-D2, and he goes, BBD2. I was like, yeah, buddy, that's R2-D2. And he goes, BBD2.
Spencer, you didn't read the tabloids, man? They got together. They hooked up, and they had BBD2. That's their baby.
Apparently. So as long as C-3PO wasn't a part of it, I'm okay.
Now it's getting weird.
Yeah. So, Episode 8.
Very cool. My last one... I would say, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but they actually have a hoverboard that actually hovers.
You stop this! You stop it!
No. My last one was Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm stoked to see it. We've talked about it before, so I won't rehash it. But I think I'm actually more excited though to see Michael Keaton as the villain. Everything he's in is just layered and deep and I don't know, dark, and he does dark really well.
He does do dark really, really well.
Even as Bruce Wayne, he was very broody. That's why I think you and I appreciate him as Bruce Wayne, just because he had that inner darkness, that pain that kind of you felt it.
I must say, I looked, and Spider-Man: Homecoming, I mean, easily could crack my top 5, but I really wanted to kind of give a a rounded approach, like something in books, something in TV, movies, video games. But I mean, Spider-Man: Homecoming easily could be in my top 5. Lego Batman movie could easily be in my top 5. Game of Thrones could easily be in my top 5. This was kind of hard, but I was like, if I've got to differentiate, where do I go? So obviously we had some, we talked about some other things, some honorable mentions, like the new War of the Planet of the Apes. Have you seen the new Planet of the Apes movies?
Yeah.
So I saw the first one of kind of the newest ones. I haven't seen the second one. It's on my list, but I really liked that first one that they redid. And I saw
with James Franco.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I really want to see the second one, and I saw the trailer for the third one. It looks really good. Of course, I won't see the third one until I see the second one, so I got to make some time.
The second one was actually good. I was actually surprised at how much I liked it.
I've heard that from everyone.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to take some time and make it happen.
Got to make priorities, man.
Yeah, that's true. Like the new movie, the new Wolverine movie, Logan, that's coming out. I want to see that. I mean, that's an honorable mention. It's not going to break my top 5 for this year, but it's definitely something that looks good. And I'm gonna go on a limb here, and there's a movie that's coming out that I'm now really excited because I've seen this trailer. And
wait a minute.
Yeah, so there's a TV show that if you were a preteen or a teenager in the 90s and you were male, you were in love with this show, and I'm referring to Baywatch.
Oh,
because that show, I mean, let's be honest, the plot was like, oh, there's a shark attack, let's go take care of that.
Wafer thin is how we describe that. Wafer thin.
Or someone's drowning, let's go take care of that. But that show was full of beautiful women in swimsuits or bikinis running around on the beach. I don't know any preteen or teenage boy that didn't love that. Matter of fact, it was so popular that the TV show Friends even had Baywatch as the characters Joey and Chandler's favorite TV show, that they would schedule their whole week around. They would make sure that they were always home to watch Baywatch when it came out. That show was everywhere in the 90s. So they are coming out with a Baywatch movie this year starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Zac Efron. If you haven't seen the trailer, go out and watch it. It is funny. The second that thing starts up, I immediately think of the old theme song, some people stand in the darkness, afraid to step into the light. Some people need to help somebody when the edge of surrender's in sight. Don't you worry, it's gonna be alright, 'cause I'm always ready. I won't let you out of my sight. I'll be ready. I mean, gosh, that theme song.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we just talked.
Like David Hasselhoff is on the other side of this microphone.
I mean, we talked about theme songs, a lot. I mean, obviously, you and I both love TV theme songs. That theme song just stands out. I mean, it's got guitar solo. I mean, this is 90s stands out, right? Guitar solos, Casio keyboards. It's got those big timpani, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum drums at the beginning of it. And then the slow motion running in the video, and them flipping their little, whatchamacallit, I don't know, the little life preserver thing. The floaty
toy.
Yeah, them spinning on his hand. And what I loved about that show was that there's actually one guy on the show, and I had to look up his name to figure out who he was.
Yeah, his name was David Hasselhoff.
No. It's
that young guy with the brown hair.
Oh, let me find it. It was the guy that was the actual... Oh, his name is Michael Newman. He actually was a real-life lifeguard at LA County beaches for 20 years, and they hired him to be a consultant for the show, and he ended up becoming an actor, and he was in every single season of Baywatch, because it was always
wait. So they got a real lifeguard so they could make sure that they were accurate in every detail of the show. Really?
Yep.
It didn't seem like that was their main focus of the show, is to really portray the actual real life, day to day people in the trenches.
I agree. It sounds ridiculous, but I just love the fact that a real life lifeguard of 20 years, and he was also like a firefighter as well. He was brought on to be a consultant, and he ended up becoming an actor on the show and acted like in all 10 seasons that they did. That's just nuts. And you'll always see him because it's like beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people, normal guy. And, right. You know, he just kind of stands out. But anyway, his name, I had to look it up, was Michael Newman. And he plays himself. So...
You know, the funny thing about that show is the only way that they got to be a half an hour show is because half of the show is filmed in slow motion. Half of the show, yeah.
Yeah. So. Anyway, so that's definitely not in my top 5, and it's definitely not one I think my wife's going to want to go see with me. But go watch that trailer. The Rock and Zac Efron are really funny in it. It comes across like this is going to be like they're going to poke fun at themselves. Like there's going to be, a lot of comedy making fun. I don't know this, but I'm guessing the Hoff is going to have some sort of cameo. I mean,
I'm sure he weaseled his way in.
How could you not? I mean, I'm just saying. Anyway.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Well, yeah. So 2017 is shaping up to be quite a monumental year, and whether you have goals or whatnot, whether they be fitness, whether they be physical, mental, spiritual, or media related, good luck with them, and don't let them fall by the wayside. Stick to it.
Yes. So I guess let's make this our question of the week to our listeners. What is the thing you are most excited to have come out or to see in 2017 in nerd and pop culture? What is that? So you can always get to us and give us the long answer on our email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. You can reach us on Facebook @fortofnerd, and you can reach us on Twitter @fortofnerd. We've tried to make that as easy as possible to get in touch with the Fortress of Nerditude. So Fort of Nerd, if you can remember that, you can find us. So let us know what is your most anticipated event, movie, TV show, whatever of 2017, and we'll read your responses next week.
Right on.
So Steve, we've talked about this. We're starting 2017 off, but we want to have more people find the Fortress of Nerditude. We want them to be able to share us with their friends, and we want to be in their ears. How can we have people help us out in that respect?
Ladies, gentlemen, friends, family, Romans, countrymen, you can rate us on iTunes so the Fortress of Nerditude isn't as hard to find as Bruce Wayne's basement.
Or, you mean Batman's attic?
That's right.
Well, as always, it's been a pleasure being with you, Steve.
May the Force be with you, always.